Momentum. Momentum is what we're looking for. We don't need to get everything right away. Sometimes that's not even the best thing for us, to get everything instantaneously. But momentum is key. What do I mean by momentum? It might seem intuitive. Maybe you think you know. But I want to offer you a different perspective on what momentum is. Momentum isn't just an evenly paced thing that we notice constantly and see us making the improvements. A lot of times we don't see how things are progressing. Now we come to the enemy of momentum, and that's stagnation. I'm talking about momentum because when we feel like we're in stagnation, we can become very discouraged. We can experience like disturbances in our mood, and we can lose motivation. That's why it's so important for us to look at momentum more as a thing that we invest in that will inevitably reach a point, a tipping point, where we will see it come into fruition. Rather than, oh, I could definitely see this happening all the time. I see the outcome in every action I take. When we focus on the investments that we're putting into our momentum, it can be easier to avoid feeling stagnation or to fight against feelings of stagnation. There was this one time where I couldn't see any progress happening while I was in therapy. And I expressed this to my therapist at the time. And in response, they showed me the collection of data that they'd gotten from the intake forms that I did every week that I went and I saw them. And what it turned out was that even though I couldn't notice it, things actually were improving. And I couldn't see that because I didn't notice the little changes, the incremental changes in the midst of all the circumstances that were going on in my life. And this happens in other ways in our life too. Like, we don't realize how things are changing for us until it's all of a sudden brought to our attention that everything's already different. And it can seem very sudden, but this brings us to a key component of momentum: tipping points. So a tipping point happens when, imagine like a little scale, and you put a bunch of coins on it. And if the scale gets too heavy, it will tip. And then whatever is supposed to happen, happens. But if you're only looking at the thing that's happening, it might seem like nothing is occurring, when reality is coins are being put on the scale. And that's what the tipping point kind of represents. It's like a type of momentum where we don't realize that we're actually building towards something. And once it reaches like a crescendo, things pop into awareness as being different. And the reason that this is so important to talk about is a lot of us have made New Year's resolutions, and a lot of us finished a lot of work in our lives at the end of last year. There's something I noticed many years ago. It was this weird phenomena where people would seemingly change out of the blue. It'd be almost like they were a completely different person, and it would surprise and shock those around these people. But when I really looked close, when I talked to those people too, and when I had those moments in my own life, the thing that I noticed was that it's almost like we're a box. And we put all this stuff in it with all of our choices and all of our actions and the environment around us and all the influences. And these are little things that we put into this box. And then life kind of shakes the box. It shakes the box. And the box makes weird little connections inside of it. And when we see these big changes in people, what's often happening is that it's actually not a big change that just happened out of the blue. It's coming from inside of the box. It's something, it's almost like elements fusing together to create a new element. But all the elements had to be there to begin with. And so when you reach in the box and you pull it out, it looks like something completely brand new. But it's actually coming from all of the things that you've been experiencing all along. And it's hard to tell exactly when these elements are going to fuse together because there is a seeming randomness to it. But we can encourage this. We can encourage this by purposely choosing what elements we add into the box, into the mix, because some elements are more likely to mix in a certain way with other elements. And what I mean by that is experiences, ideals, actions, environments, circumstances. For instance, if you experience a traumatic event, there are documented things that you could do after the event to help minimize the chance of certain outcomes. And then people might wonder, how did that person get through that so well? Well, maybe they were just lucky, or maybe they used reason and evidence practices to give themselves a better chance. That's why it's important for us to keep putting things into the box, because if we put things that we want in the box, that's going to help with outcome. Because if we put things like fear and doubt and we just stop putting things in the box altogether, the only thing that's going to go in the box are things like environmental circumstances and things outside of our control. And then who knows what we're going to get coming out of the box. But if we purposely continue to put things in the box, we increase our chance of getting something awesome and beneficial to us. And we could speed up even that momentum. And momentum leads to everything else. Progress, reward, and increased hope and faith. I hope this helps you on your journeys, lovelies. And as always, you're worthy of everything good, and I love you so much. Take care.